Guys, welcome back. This is Nightwolf53 back here again with another What If. This is what if Deku was in Azur Lane. Now, I didn't know how to really put this in. Either he could have had the quirk of Azur Lane or he could have been in it. And I kind of wanted to do both. But for right now, I'm going to do inside. And if it goes well, I'll do if he had the quirk of it. Well, yeah. So, let's start off in the beginning. While Inko was married to Hisashi, they decided to have a child. After 9 months, Azuku is born into this world. But, like most common in kids, they are slight yellow and have to go into a LED lights, having a little bit of yellow jaundice, technically. As for the first few months, Deku is very weak, and his mother cannot hold him. But after those few months, he is better, and life goes on as normal. As he reached around the age of 4, war, well, the Great Depression starts. His mother and his father lose money as from their jobs, they're not, even though being the best, they're not being laid off yet. So even though they're collecting money, they're still doing their best to keep a house. During this time, Deku's watching the horrifying actions that happened during the Great Depression. As they see people fight and the enactment of laws, uh, the enactment of laws for the was illegal alcohol, for alcohol to become illegal, as there were moonshiners that would move outside of his house going into the woods, as Deku would know that did not know what they were doing. As after a couple years, Deku would be finally around the age of, so if I'm gonna say that he was born during that time, a couple years later, I want to say that whenever it started, he was about around 8. So the late Great Depression lasted around 10 years. So he would have been 19. Holy cow, so yeah, he was around 8 at the time. Yeah, it started. 8 or 7, so yeah. I'm gonna say 7. So as 17-year-old Deku and his family finally break this Great Depression thing, they hear that Germany and Russia and the USSR have now attacked Poland. As they're hearing this from the news, wow, that's so weird. As there are ships going over there, escort ships trying to help Britain and France, as they know, uh, was it? As they know Germany is going to attack France next. But something weird happens. A new news report comes out. Headlines tonight. Unknown beings coming out of portals. As it shows the sirens leading a fleet in the sea, as the US sends ships to go fight them, but they're unsuccessful. As Germany tries to move its troops around, they can't even get their old dreadnought ships to other places like Norway without being attacked by the sirens and not even fighting back enough to do anything. As the four main powers the four naval powers decide to create something. Under the four nations' eyes of Germany, Britain, US, and the Japanese Empire, they decide to create and organize a Project Azur. They saw from these portals came cubes, and these cubes could be combined with their ships. As the first one is done in the U.S., the first ship to be turned is USS Sims. No, yeah, USS. What is it? I want to say USS Cleveland because I like Cleveland. Because that seems like a cool ship to have first. As they see it from out of the bright light, that a person appears and says, "Hello, Commander." Says, "Commander, what are you talking about?" "Well, you are the one that built up me, right?" You? Of course. Well, okay, well, may I have your name?" "The name's Cleveland." "Cleveland, but you're a girl." "So what?" "Yeah, that's just the name I was given." "Alright. Cleveland, what are you, technically?" "Well, I'm that." Actually points at the ship. "You're the ship?" "Yeah." "May you give us a little demonstration?" Sure." Actually runs out onto the dock bay and jumps. She yells out, "Cleveland, under the sea," as the ship that was the mighty Cleveland cruiser shines a bright blue light and disappears into small cubes going into the girl. As she lands on the water, skating across it with guns on her side. "To see?" As you're like, huh. As they started doing more tests with Cleveland and knowing the potential, they tell her what's going on. Huh. So it seems that it seems that you made us to fight the sirens. "Well, yeah, I guess so then." As Cleveland would go out with a bunch of other ships as a single siren, because they've gotten cocky now, have got goes after him, it being a light cruiser siren. I was like, yeah, as like, wow, this should be an easy fight, as Cleveland jumps off of her bow and yells, "Cleveland, Knight of the Sea," of course, as the ship disappears into the girl and gunfire lays upon the siren, and she's like, "What? How is this even possible?" As after a couple hours of fighting, some ships sank, but the siren was killed. Finally, a siren was killed by the U.S. after their new project. More tests have been done, making different ships into this new team or project. As after a little while, the Japanese, the Germans, the and the Royal Navy got a hold onto this and created their own. They've got Bismarck, they've got Kaga Nakagi, Queen Elizabeth, Warspite, Prince Eugen, Admiral Hipper, Graf Zeppelin, a bunch of ships. As over time, the ships themselves started to fight back, but because of the sirens coming out early, most of the population was deteriorating. With that, humanity was already falling apart. As the humans already knew that they would not live on for long, that the weapons they created to help them were still helping them, but fight off these sirens, but the humans couldn't fight off anymore due to a new virus coming around, being a new Black Plague. As this happens, As this is going around, deku in the US is 18, no, I guess, yeah, 18 in 1940. As he sees this new test thing poster. People have been ignoring it because it sounded fake and stuff, but Deku wanted to feel real. All throughout his life, kids would bully him for how weak he was now. Now he could probably have a chance to change that in the army, but what he thought he was getting himself into was not what he thought. 3 days later, some military men come to get Deku from his house as this new virus is going around. The sirens are sirens and Azur Lane are fighting. As this is happening, as this is happening between the sirens and Azur Lane, Deku is being drafted into the army, but not the normal army. Deku's being turned into an army test subject. Says, alright, so you are Izuku, correct? Yeah? Well, we need you to sign these waivers real quick. Okay, as he signs the waivers. He just had to sign them real quick, because they said, like, oh, nothing, like, they shouldn't kill you at all, so yeah, you should be fine. Saying what? Well, it's war, so yeah. Hopefully I don't die. War? Oh, no, you're gonna be a new test subject. New test subject? What are you talking about? Well, you see, me and basically US and Germany have decided to see what happened if we gave a cube to a human person. And we are also hoping to combine 2 ships into that person. What are you talking about? Well, we'll tell you, or you should know after the test, as a guard knocks him out. Deku is dragged over to a testing tube. There are 2 cubes on each side. The cubes are connected to the chamber, and the chamber is connected to 2 ships in the docks right now. Alright, power on as it starts to boot up. Alright, inject the cubes into container. As the cubes disappear and start and flow into the container, turning the container's green liquid, the green water in there, the green clear water in there, into blue shiny ocean water. Looks like that. As this is happening, they get readings that a siren attack is going to happen soon, so they still can see up on the project because they have Azur Lane around. But what they didn't know, Azur Lane was in a different fight at the time. The only troops they had there were 2 destroyers and one of Cleveland's sister ships. As this is unannounced to them, so they continue with the next test. Alright, next test. It seems to be stable, so next test. Oh, my bad, that my headset turned off. But yeah. Alright, next test. Power up the ship. Power up the ships as the 2 ships power up. The American aircraft carrier Franklin D. Roosevelt and the German battleship Grosse Kurfürst. As the 2 boilers steamed up, they asked for the line to finally be released as the blue energy circulated between the 2 ships and covering with blue light. As that happens, a siren comes in. Even though being badly damaged, it still got in. As it starts shooting at the scientists and other things, as a sim as a she's about to shoot at the testing tube to kill whatever in there. Enterprise shows up and shoots through the head of the battleship. The battleship siren. From her arrow, a single drop of the battleship siren drops into the testing tube. Alright, nice job, Enterprise. You got her. No problem. Hopefully the rest of them are fine in there. Let's go help out the others. Also, that battleship siren was tough, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. She was one of the... Actually, she was one of the battleship commanders. What are you talking about? The commanders of the sirens are split up into 4 different ones. There's the carriers, the cruisers, the battleships, and the destroyers. There isn't a submarine one because I don't think they have that. Yeah. As that happened, Deku is enforced with a commander, Siren Blood, as well. As a light flash beams out of the science room as they all turn around looking for another fight, but nothing. No explosion, nothing at all. They look in the hole where they killed that siren and they see that the scientists in there are dead. So it must have been a power malfunction as they leave. About 500 years later, the continents are basically almost underwater. Humans have no longer been seen as the fight against the sirens are still raging. Not in bigger numbers now, but they rarely see them. As about 200 years before, Azur split up into their 2 factions. Ironblood and Sakura Empire split up into Crimson Axis, as Eagle Union and Royal Navy used their original name, Azur for theirs. As this gone on, more fights would have been happening between sirens and other ships, but it was more likely grunts of the commanding officers. As this is going on, Deku is left at the bottom of wherever he is now, still trapped inside that chamber. His 2 ships still being afloat on top of the water. With this, they're still connected to the dock, even though the dock's been lifted as well. It can't move from where it is, but it's still above the water. One day, Deku might be set free, but that day will come soon. That's where I kind of want to end it, because even though it's a bit shorter, and it's not much, it gives you an explanation of like what I've had to do. Also, I've been having like problems like other type of things, but yeah. Hit that like button if you liked it, hit that dislike button if you didn't like it, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and bye.